Jason. Welcome. Hello, Belen. Hello, Tanya. Hello, Sana. I'm sorry I'm very late today, everybody. I had to teach lessons until 11:30, and then I had some internet problems trying to get online. But here I am. So let's get started. Hello, Luna. Hello, Ferdis. Let's see. Hello, Ron. Guten Tag. I think I saw you in my voice room the other day, Ron. Hello, Ramond and Haron and Ziad. Hello, Angelica. Thank you, Tanya. Hello, Alvin. So what's the topic? There is no topic. So I will try to talk to some people today. People are always raising their hand and always want to talk to me. And I don't have that much time to talk to people usually. So I'm going to try to just get some people on the stage and talk to some people. But it would be good if you actually have some questions for me. It would be good if you have questions or if you have a topic that you want to talk about, okay? Because I have about 69,000 followers and many, many, many people want to talk to me. So it always feels a little bit strange if I turn on the camera and I invite somebody on the stage and they just come on and they say, hi. You know, like if you don't have something to talk about, then it seems, I feel a little pressured because so many people do want to talk to me about something. So if you want to come talk to me, you can, of course you can. But I would appreciate it if you understand that there are many people who want to talk to me. So it would be better if you have either a question or something that you want to talk about, a topic you want to talk about, American culture, American food, music, travel, you know, or maybe you have questions about grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation, or something like that, okay? How do I maintain my motivation to learn Chinese? Well, Tanya, I feel like I'm in a good place with Chinese now because once you feel comfortable enough thinking about the language that you're learning, it doesn't feel like work that much anymore. It feels like music, you know, so if you're a musician and you play rock music and you know how to play rock music really well, but you want to learn how to play jazz music. In the beginning, it feels really hard. It's a lot of hard work because jazz is so different from rock. Okay? So in the beginning, it feels really, really difficult. But eventually, you reach a point where you start to feel like you have a good idea of how to play jazz. And then you're not working. It doesn't feel like work anymore. It feels like you're playing music, you know? So, yeah. So that's where I feel like I'm at kind of now with my Chinese. I kind of feel like now it doesn't feel like work too much. It feels like I just get to use my Chinese and make music, you know? All right, let's see. How do you deal with mental health? Well, Alvin, that depends on what you're talking about specifically. I wouldn't necessarily say my mental health is always good. I think mental health for nearly everybody in America is not that good, to be honest.
Only because you can't have good mental health if you're constantly struggling to survive.
So figure out a way so that you can survive more easily, and then you can, that's when your mental health will improve greatly. Okay, hello, Guten Tag. What a weird thing to say. Ich bin nicht dein Vater. I had to think about that one for a minute. My German's a little rough. Am I just going to answer? No. No, I'm going to invite people on the stage, but only if you're nice. If you're not nice and you're not patient, I don't want to talk to you at all. Okay, Ramond wants to know how to speak with the native English. Okay, Ramond, it doesn't matter if you have an accent. It doesn't matter if you have an accent. Just make your accent more clear. Okay, so change your goal. Stop trying to make your goal to sound like me, and instead make your goal to sharpen your accent so that it's not so difficult to understand. That's a better goal, okay? I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. Okay, I'm going to get some people up on the stage now. I am fine. Hello, May. The link in my profile doesn't work. What link in my profile? You mean my link tree? Jimena, do you mean my link tree? This one? Ah, no, not that one. This one. Jimena, I'm not sure how you used it. You have to copy it and paste it. If you're in a live stream, you can't just click on a link. It won't just open. You cannot do that. But if you copy it and paste it into your browser, it should work. Okay? All right, let's get somebody up to talk to him. Let's start with Alvin. Let's find out what's wrong with Alvin's mental health. Hola, Alvin.
Hello.
Hello. How are you, my friend?
¿Cómo? ¿Cómo? Yeah, thank you. I'm okay. I'm okay. No,
Good.
no. Um, my wife, because you said that we can ask you some question or
Mm-hmm.
we can make a topic about it. So I asked my wife what she wanted to ask, and she was trying to ask me if you know how to deal with the problem, depression, for example, depression. And then, in a way, you answer me. I mean, you did answer. It's like making it. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard for everybody,
it is hard for
right?
everybody. Yeah,
So
everybody but the
it's
rich
hard for
people.
everybody.
There are two kinds of depression. There's rich people depression and there's regular people depression. Regular people depression, in my experience, I would say about 70, maybe 80% of the time, if you can solve your economic problems and get to a place where you feel like you're not worried all the time, then your depression seems to go away. But like if you're always worried about paying bills and you're always worried about trying to find money, it's very easy to be depressed, you know?
Yeah, I know. No,
Yeah.
no, but that's not the question of my wife, because we are retired now, and
Okay.
so that's not the problem. That's
Okay.
not the
Okay.
problem.
Okay.
No, we have other type of problem. For example, she have tinnitus,
Ah, mm-hmm.
tinnitus.
Yeah, yeah. Some people
What
say
is it?
tinnitus, some people say tinnitus. You can say either one. They're both correct.
She hear a
Yeah.
sound
Mm-hmm.
inside all the time. Acúfeno.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And that can
Well,
drive you
that's
crazy.
one problem.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm a
That's
musician. Many,
that's
many
one
of
problem.
my friends, they have the tinnitus. Because we play loud music for many years and then you get tinnitus. But did
Yeah.
you know, I just recently heard a radio show about tinnitus and about how they're learning a lot more about tinnitus just recently. And
They're studying it.
yeah, they're studying it now, and now they have a lot of new ideas about how to fix it and how to improve it and what causes it. So let me see if I can find that for you very quickly here. You should at least listen to this radio show about tinnitus because they interviewed this doctor who he studies tinnitus, and he had a lot of interesting things to say. Because I have a few friends who have
Hay
tinnitus also. Let's see. Let me find that for
tinnitus
you.
porque son músicos. Y escuchó una radio que un doctor hablaba, se está investigando bastante sobre el tema, entonces me va a pasar un link. Anótalo tal vez.
Yeah, right here. There's a new device. They have a new device that I think
Hay un nuevo
helps with it. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. I'm going to send this to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. Yeah. Let me find how do I send this? There we go.
Tinnitus es la palabra en español también, ¿no sé? ¿Cómo se dice en español? Acúfeno. Tinnitus es lo mismo, es una palabra.
I think so.
Sí.
Yeah.
Es el tinnitus must be a Latin word for
That's
the
right.
disease.
That's right. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So I just sent you the link there in my chat. I would like take a screenshot of that or a picture of that or copy and paste that, and you can open that up. And they have a great. It was a radio interview, but they also have an article that you can read about it, and that would help. But if that's bothering you, yeah,
Copy it and paste it.
Copy it and paste it. It should work. Okay. And it was apparently there's a new device that they're trying to help people with tinnitus. The FDA approved a device. The FDA, the American government, Food and Drug Administration, they just approved a new device that apparently it stimulates your tongue, and somehow that affects your ears. Yeah, like I said, they're learning a lot about tinnitus now. So it said 84% of people, this new device that they tried for tinnitus, 84% of people were helped by this new device.
It's working.
Yeah, 84%.
It's working then.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Good.
You check that article and see, because I just heard that just a few weeks ago. I was listening to the radio and I heard this article about tinnitus on the radio. It was great. Yeah, so maybe that will help you.
And the other problem, I know that you're not a doctor, you're a teacher.
But my father is a psychologist, actually.
Okay, well, we have a big problem. That's good. We have a big problem with our son, our eldest son, and he's addict to cocaine.
Oh, that's rough.
So it's very rough. Yes.
Well,
so
how old is he?
Especially the mother suffer a lot.
Right. How old is
because
he?
She's 40 years old.
40. That's really rough. Okay.
And it's destroying my wife.
I understand.
She's destroyed.
Has he tried to get any help for this?
Sorry?
Has he tried to get any help for this before?
Yeah, we did a lot. I mean, he was 1 month inside a place to get rid of, just to clean himself.
Right.
But they didn't help him psychological.
Right.
They
That's
give
the
him
important
other
part.
drugs.
That's the important part. You need to. If you go to a detox center, that will help you with the physical part. But then you need to understand why are you doing this? What's causing you to do this? And
He say, well, he defends the drug. I mean, he says that is helping him to reach inside himself, and he's in this period that he's in a limbo. Feels he's in a limbo now.
What does he do? What's his job?
He's a musician.
Oh, okay. Well, then I understand very well. Okay. So this is a very difficult problem to have.
Very difficult.
So here's what I will tell you. I know many people who have struggled with addiction and music, because I'm a musician. So you can see behind me I have my drums.
Your drum.
I'm a drummer, and actually that was my main job for most of my life, is playing music in bands. And so I know many people who have had problems with alcohol, problems with drugs. And I think sometimes the thing that you can do, the only thing you can do is talk about the practicalities and rationalities of it. So he says, well, it helps him to reach deep inside. Okay, but how much? How much does that cost him? You know, I mean, to be honest, sometimes the amount of money, the amount of money that you spend on it, just from a money point, the amount of money you spend is so much. Imagine what you could do. You know, he could travel. He could travel around the world. He could buy more equipment for recording music, and he could do so many other things with that money. And sometimes that's a simple but practical way to just say, like, you know, hey, I hear you. You know, you're saying that this
you,
thing helps
you're a
you reach
slave.
down deep
You're a
inside,
slave.
but at what cost?
At what cost?
You know, both literally, at what cost financially, and at what cost to your family, and at what cost to your health, and at what cost, you know, and then as a musician, sometimes we all reach a point where we have to say, we have to look at ourselves and we have to say, if I can't reach that place without it, then maybe I'm not as good as I think. You know, like if you say you can only do it if you have that thing, then that's not real. What you're doing is not real. You're making that music from being influenced by that thing.
Yeah, he said to me once, all that music that you're hearing, Dad, that's made with cocaine. And I said, no, it cannot be possible. I mean,
well, not all of it, but he's right that there is a lot of there are a lot of musicians who have used drugs throughout the history of music. That doesn't mean all of it, but I can tell you this: if you read about those musicians, there are hundreds of stories of how drugs have how they've ruined their lives.
Ruined totally, yes.
You know,
yes.
Charlie Parker was one of the greatest saxophonists of all time, and his drug was alcohol, and he died when he was 34. And when they found him dead, the doctor looked at him and said,
I think he's a 54-year-old man. He's 34, but he looked
54 because of how much alcohol, you know.
All the body destroyed.
Right. Yeah. So, and there are many, many stories like that. Many, many stories. So I think that what I would say is this is a problem that's bigger than me. I certainly am not qualified enough to help you with this, except that I can say that as a musician, I'll tell you this. From one musician to another. Does your son speak English by chance?
He was living in the state a long time ago, but I think he forgot all. Probably he understand, but
okay. So
know if he
I'll tell you this. Maybe if you want to give him my contact, then you can tell him to talk to me, and I'd be happy to talk to him personally. And maybe nothing will happen. Maybe nothing will matter. But I'm 48, and I'm a musician, and I've made a lot of music in my time. Yeah, guys, the echo. I think the echo is because of the sound is coming out on his speaker, and then you're hearing that. So I'll tell you what, Alvin.
My speaker.
Yeah, can you hit the mute button on your side? So I'll just talk for a minute, and then when you speak, unmute yourself. Okay. That should fix it, I think.
Let me see how to mute it.
There's a microphone button. If you just press the microphone button, you should be able to mute it.
Yeah, but I don't see the microphone.
Oh no.
I don't see the microphone.
Let me see. What about now? Can you guys hear the echo now? Can you guys hear the echo still? No? Okay. All right. Now I've got it for you, Alvin. I found it. Okay. So again, Alvin, I can't promise anything, man. But if you want to have him message me, if he's willing to talk to me, then I'll talk to him, and I'll maybe, because this is not necessarily the best place for me to talk about this kind of thing, but I understand this kind of thing very well, and I've lost a few friends, from drugs and alcohol, who are musicians. I know the argument he's making about why he does it and what it does for him. But I'll tell you this, I think that it's an argument that just, you can't keep making that argument forever. Like, at some point in time, you have to say, can I do it without it? And if you can't, then that's a problem. That's a problem. And you need to go talk to some people who can help you feel like you can make that same amount of that same kind of music without it. And again, this is not a problem for just musicians. Throughout the history of time, even Sigmund Freud used it. Many people have, but that's not to justify it in any way, shape, or form. So here's what I would say is I can't promise anything, but if you want to have him message me, if he's willing to, then I'll talk to him, and that's the best I can do, is talk to him. And sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes that's what you need, is you need to talk to somebody. He needs to feel like he has someone who can understand.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
It's all I can really do. It's all I can really do. I wish I could do more.
No, thank you. You're not for these things. It's just because we started with my wife, and we ended with my son.
Well, I'm a human being, and that's my job before any other job, is to be a human being. And that means you need to understand people. You need to try to understand people. And as a teacher, my job is to help people. Now I usually help them with their English, but
you're very good.
Well, thank you.
You're very good at it.
But deep down, I feel that what I'm trying to do is bigger than just helping people with their grammar. I'm trying to help people, to connect with people. Language is a way to connect with other people, right? And so if you learn English, we can understand each other better. So that's why I'm trying to do that ultimately. And that's why I feel I don't mind if you tell me something like this. I don't mind. As a matter of fact, I feel I don't know if honored is the right word, but I feel it's a very deep sense for somebody to come to me with two big problems with your family and feel like you can say those things to me. That's a very humbling position to be in, to feel like, wow, somebody actually wants to tell me about these deep problems they're having. That's it's humbling. And so the least I can do is try to help.
Okay.
So I'll do what I can for you. At the very least, I think that you should definitely find out if you can get that device for your wife in, where are you?
Yeah.
You're in Argentina?
Yes.
Okay, so I think you might be able to get that device there. If they have it in America, that's the one thing about America. The FDA, they take forever to approve anything. So if it's already been approved here, then you probably can get it there. Like Europe always gets everything before we do because their process for approving things goes
quickly.
Yeah. But in America, it takes at least 10, 20 years to get things approved. So if it's already been approved here, then I think you probably can get it there. You just need to know what it is to ask for it. Okay. And again, Alvin, thank you for feeling like you can talk to me. I'm just a guy. That's what I always tell people is I'm just a guy. I'm a teacher, I'm a drummer, but I'm just a man, and I'm trying to be a human being first. And so for someone to open up with me as much as you have is pretty touching.
For me. So I appreciate that very much. And Alvin, I will also say,
personally, for you, if you feel like you need to talk sometime about this stuff, send me a private message, okay?
Okay.
I'll add you on my Telegram or my something like that.
I will.
We can talk, okay?
Okay.
And your English is great, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Your English is excellent, so at least you have that going for you. So, Alvin, again, I'll do the best I can to help you. I hope things get better with your wife. The problem with your son is a difficult one because it's one that ultimately nobody can help him but himself. You know,
That's it.
he needs to be the one to do that. But I'm willing to talk to him, and maybe I might be able to give him some sense of a different perspective that might make him think a little more.
Musician to musician.
Right, musician to musician. That's exactly right. Okay.
Thank you. And we keep in touch.
Definitely. Please do. Please message me. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Take care of yourself, and please tell your wife that I hope things get better with her tinnitus as well. Okay.
Okay.
Take care, my friend. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Wow. Well, that was one way to start my day. That was heavy. Wow. Anyway, not what I wasn't really expecting that, but again, I'm glad that people feel like they can talk to me about things. Every great teacher I've ever had has made me feel that way. And that's the difference between like a teacher and a mentor. A mentor is someone who actually cares about you as a human being, not just your learning of whatever subject you're studying. They care about you, right? So when I went to my drum lessons when I was younger and maybe I had a fight with my family the night before, or maybe I was struggling with school, or maybe I hadn't slept well, or I broke up with my girlfriend or something like that, my teacher would see that I was bothered, and they would talk to me, So, I think it's kind of hard to be a good teacher if you don't care about the person who's studying with you. It's kind of hard to be a good teacher if you don't care. So, anyway, wow, that was heavy. But I just wish we could do more of that. All of us. People. See, look, now if he couldn't speak English, we couldn't talk to each other. So do you see why I'm saying learning language is not just about getting a better job or making more money. Learning a language, any language, is about connecting with more people. So, yeah. That's the main thing I'm trying to do here. What does it say right there in the title? What's the title of my thing here today? A Friend in Every Corner, World English Conversations. That was the entire reason why I started doing live streaming. Because I want to talk to people around the world. I want to make connections around the world. And I want people to start to feel like we're not so different and we're not our country. You know, we aren't our nationality. We aren't our region. You know? Anyway. Well, wow. Okay. I'm not sure where we're going to go from here. That was heavy. But Alvin, if you're still there, truly, I appreciate you feeling like you can actually say any of those things to me. That's a very humbling burden to be given, but it's one I humbly take. Okay. Carlos says maybe people see you as some kind of a comfort zone that they can say things to you that they wouldn't say to anyone else. I hope so. I hope so. You know. Anyway. All right. Well, who else wants to talk to me? The doctor is in. Let's talk to Moritz. Hello, Moritz. Guten Tag, my friend. Wie geht's?
Hey, Mark. Ja, gut geht's. Danke. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Well, I don't want to disturb too long, but I have a short question.
Okay.
I listened to Anthony Blinken singing the Hoochie Coochie Man. And, well, what is Hoochie Coochie?
Okay. So let's see. What did he say? I didn't hear that quote from him, but I know what the Hoochie Coochie Man
it's not
is.
a quote. It's a musical presentation. He's playing the guitar, playing the Hoochie Coochie Man.
Right.
He's doing a good job, by the way. I think it's in the White House. It's on YouTube.
Right. So you're asking me literally, what is the Hoochie Coochie Man?
Yeah, the expression Hoochie Coochie, is that common, colloquial,
No,
or
it's
an old phrase. There's a song. It's an old blues song.
yeah.
The song is called "I'm Your Hoochie Coochie Man." It's an old blues standard that was written by Willie Dixon. Willie Dixon is the guy who wrote it originally. It was written in 1954, and it was one of the first like classic blues recordings, really. So to say what a Hoochie Coochie Man is a little bit more tricky.
Well,
It's
is it like
it's a blues terminology that how do I explain this? Let me see here. One moment. Let me see if I can find a clean way to explain it. Because Willie Dixon wrote a lot of songs. Blues music, everybody. Blues music is music about your life, about your troubles, about your ups, your downs. That's what blues music is all about, right? And
right.
And so, hoochie coochie it's a term that refers to your sexual attractiveness to a person or as a person. There's hoodoo. Hoodoo is like related to voodoo. Do you know voodoo?
Mm-hmm.
Voodoo is like a kind of magic, right? Like in a certain religion, the voodoo religion. And hoodoo is a type of this magic from voodoo. And so I think that the Hoochie Coochie Man is talking about his attractive magic as a person.
Okay. Then
I'm your
then
hoochie
the
coochie man.
then I got a good answer. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's what I expected somehow, but well, Hendrix played that song too.
Yeah,
You
he
know
did.
that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the classic rock bands from the 1960s, they were heavily, heavily influenced by early American blues, like Led Zeppelin is another prime example. Led Zeppelin, basically, they wanted to be an American blues band. I mean, to be honest, they got away with stuff that you probably wouldn't get away with today. Because there are some of their songs where there are some parts of their songs that are completely stolen from blues musicians. You know, like they added this and put it in their song and they did it their way. Now, at the time they did it, they were just doing it like a tip of the hat. They were tributing these blues musicians that they were so influenced by. But today, it would be called either cultural appropriation or just copyright. You know, like one of the two,
it's
or
like that
or
nowadays.
both. You know, or both. So. Yeah, but no, I'm your hoochie coochie man. That's a song I haven't heard in a long time. I didn't know Anthony Blinken had anything to do with it, though. That's funny. I
He
didn't
did
know.
it. And
That's
he was
funny.
like playing it like a professional, well, almost like a professional. He's doing a great job.
That's
You should have a look
interesting.
at that.
I will. Although just recently I heard that he made a big musical mistake. I can't remember what song it was, but
Rocking in the Free World.
right. Yeah, right. And how he thought he was playing it like it was a good thing, but he doesn't understand the meaning of the song at all. The meaning of the song is about how bad
yeah, that's
capitalism
right.
is and the poverty and how people struggle and all this stuff. But he was playing it like he just heard the main lyric, keep on rocking in the free world. And, you know, it sounds like it's a good thing. You know, it sounds like it's a positive song. But if you listen and you pay attention, if you know what the history of the song is, then you know that it was actually written as a criticism, you know.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's funny.
that performance wasn't too good. I found it on YouTube too as a short video. He didn't sing that good. The Hoochie Coochie Man is better.
Okay. All right. All right. I'll check that out.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't really realize Anthony Blinken was so musically involved. I think that's a good thing. I think you know, music is a very important thing. It's a more important part of culture to explore. You know, I think a lot of people, they look at music as just this frivolous kind of entertainment, but for me, music is it's a form of culture, and
Of course it is.
right, it is, of course. But I think for most people, they only expose themselves to pop music, and pop music is really, in most pop music is very shallow. It just scratches the surface. It's not really, pop music in general is not made to make you think. It's actually the exact opposite. It's made to make you not think. You know, like just to make you just enjoy a moment and stuff. And that's okay too. But when you start studying about, you know, blues music and jazz music and different musics from around the world, you understand that it's a form of artful expression. And sometimes, especially, you know, that period of music you're talking about, you know, between the 1940s and 1960s, maybe even 70s, a lot of music was very, very, very politically and socially critical. You know, and so you know, songs like you know, Brother Brother from Marvin Gaye, you know, or Stop Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going
Yeah,
down.
it's Crosby, Stills, Buffalo Springfield.
Yeah, Buffalo Springfield, that one. Good. Maurice, you're impressing me with your musical knowledge. That's good. That's great. Yeah.
Yes,
or Crosby, Stills, Ohio, and they had Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. They had a lot of songs that were they were hippies. Their music was a way for them to critique the world and comment on life.
And they still do. At least Neil Young still does.
Yeah,
so I don't
right.
know if you know his latest productions.
I haven't followed him that much, recently. But Neil, when he was in his heyday, I really had a lot of respect for his music. Now I have respect for him. But it's not so much musically.
It's more about the fact that he's still promoting the concepts.
I'm not as into it for his music so much as I am just that I appreciate the fact that he's still fighting the fight.
Yeah.
Chuck Berry also, Chuck Berry also. That's some great stuff too. I'll tell you what, guys. If you really want to learn about America. Learning about where our music comes from is a really great lesson. When you trace it all the way back, rock and roll to blues and jazz to slavery and all that, it's a really amazing story. And it can teach you a whole lot about American history and American life and American culture.
Yeah. Do you know the first blues that was written down, the name of it?
First one that was written down? I'm
not sure, but I'm pretty sure, but not totally.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but you tell me. I'm sure I know what it is.
I think it's the St. Louis Blues.
It's
I think
definitely
that was
one of
the first one they wrote down.
It's definitely one of the first ones, yeah. But then we get into an argument about where jazz and blues,
Probably it started in Africa. What can we say?
Well, guys, if you actually, I'll give you a brief rundown of how it all started. I can tell you a very detailed, long story, but it would take me 3 hours to explain everything. But in a short version, America, a big part of our history is dark, and it involves slavery, right? And so we had millions of slaves who were brought here from Africa. And one thing that they did when they brought all those millions of slaves here is they took away all their musical instruments and they made it illegal for them to play music at all. And the reason why was because, one, it was a form of controlling them. And two, it was because they realized that they were able to communicate using their music. Right? So in Africa, they actually even have a drum. There's a drum in Africa called the Junjun drum, and it means the talking drum because they can play it. It looks like an hourglass, this drum, and it has ropes from the top head to the bottom head, and you put it under your arm, and when you hit it, you can change the pitch, like dun 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 dun.
All right.
And the great African drummers could actually play it and speak. They could communicate using these, rhythms and instruments. So because they realized they could communicate, they took them away and said, you're not allowed to play them. So they brought them here, and in all of America, they were not allowed to play any instruments at all legally. But there was one place in America where they were allowed on one day a week, on Sunday, in New Orleans, on Congo Square, and they let them dance and they let them play the music, and that's where jazz music was born, somewhere in the late 1890s, 1880, 1890, somewhere in that time period. And by 1900, it had created this whole new thing because they didn't have their traditional instruments from Africa, so they had to use whatever they had here. And what did they have here? The most popular music in America around the 1800s to late 1800s, early 1900s was marching band music. John Philip Sousa, dun 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 dun. Right, this this kind of marching music. So they had trumpets and they had trombones and they had snare drum and bass drum, and they took all of these instruments and started creating their own music that was a kind of a mixture of what they heard of our music influenced by their music. And that became what we now know as jazz. And that, at the same time, the only other music that they did have was what we call spirituals. And spirituals were these deep, deep songs that the slaves would sing.
Walking on the fields.
Yeah, they were working songs. They were songs that described their feelings of sorrow and sadness and loss, and that developed into blues.
Yeah.
So we had jazz was kind of the first one, but then jazz simultaneously was also being created when this spiritual music was being created into work songs and field songs and things like that. And the only reason why the slave masters let them do that was because they did better work. Like if they could sing and sing a song while they're playing, it meant, or while they're working, I should say, it means that their work is steady and consistent, and they do it with better results. So, anyway, so American, then eventually that developed into early big band music. So then that developed into, we started with street jazz, which is what it was called, street jazz in New Orleans in the 1890s, 1900s. That developed into stride piano and Scott Joplin, that kind of stuff, right? And then that went into, right, The Entertainer, that's right, Scott Joplin, that's right, yeah. And then that turned into early big band music with Duke Ellington and Count Basie and all those guys, and that turned into small group jazz in the 1950s and 60s, bebop and bop music, right? And then that turned into
modal
blues,
jazz,
modal
cool
jazz. Look at you, man! Are you a musician?
Yes.
Oh, you are a musician. Oh, well, now it makes sense. All right. Well, now that's okay. Now you got it. So you know the story then. And then modal jazz and cool jazz and then that turned into electric jazz. When Miles Davis heard Jimi Hendrix, he lost his mind. Like he was like, "Wow, I love that. Whatever that is, I like it." And then we in the 1950s, you had early rock and roll with Little Richard and all of those things. So again, if you guys really want to know a lot about American history, I think one of the best ways to learn it is by learning about American music and where it comes from. And it's quite a story, and there's a lot to learn.
Yes.
Yeah.
One more question.
Okay.
Have you met Bootsy Collins recently?
Not recently, no. I haven't seen him in years.
Okay.
If you guys, I guess I told you that one at some point in time. Yeah, I forgot.
No, it's okay.
Many years ago, Bootsy Collins is a very famous bass player, if you guys don't know everybody. And he started, his fame started by playing bass for James Brown. And, some of the best bass lines you've ever heard from James Brown music, that was Bootsy Collins. And when he was 17 years old, that's a funny story. Did you know that story? So James Brown was a notoriously difficult band leader. He was not a nice guy to work for, really. From whatever everybody tells me, there were two band leaders that were notoriously famous for being really, really mean and not nice: Buddy Rich and James Brown. And so one time when James was touring, I think he was in Georgia at the time, and his band got fed up with him, and they decided to quit in the middle of his tour. And so then James had been in Cincinnati, I think a few months earlier, maybe, and he was playing at a club, and right across the street was another band that Bootsy's band was playing. And at the time, every band, if you were a black band at that time, you knew every James Brown song, that you had to. It was kind of like that was the thing to know, right? So they called him up and said, "Hey, do you want to play with James?" And they flew him from Cincinnati to Georgia, and at 17 years old, he started playing with James Brown. And you can see it on the videos. There's some videos of early James, and there's Bootsy in the background, and he looks so scared, man. Like he just looks like, oh my God, am I on stage with James Brown? He looks like he's very scared. And yeah. So, and it happens to be that Bootsy's from my city, and he bought all his equipment from the store I taught music in. And so he would come in every once in a while, and just buy some equipment. And he usually would send a fax, like a big fax with all the stuff he needed, and they would just put it together, and he was in and out because he didn't usually like to, be accosted by people and stuff. But one time when he was coming in on an off day when I didn't have many students, I asked Tony, the guy who was working there, who sold him everything, I was like, is it all right if I come out and just say hey? I don't want to make a big deal of it, but is it okay? And he was like, yeah, it's all right, man. It's okay. And so sure enough, he comes in, and he comes in his Lincoln Navigator with gold rims and black windows, and he's got his star sunglasses on and all that. And he comes in, and I'm talking to him for a few minutes, and he's, really, really nice. He's really, really nice. And then he says, oh, hey, let me see where you teach or whatever. So we go back to my little teaching room where I have some drums or whatever. And he wanted me to play, and I was like, oh my God, Bootsy Collins wants me to play drums. Okay. And so I played a little bit and whatever, and he was real nice and everything. And then on the way out, he said, I'll do my best Bootsy impression. He said, oh, well, hey, Mark, I'm going to be gone for a few weeks. I got to go to play Woodstock. But when I come back, I'm gonna call you, and I want you to come out and lay some tracks down for me. And I was like, I thought he was just being nice. I thought he was just saying,
Whoa,
I'll give you a call.
Man.
Okay. But sure enough, a few weeks later, I get a call on my voicemail, and it says, "Hey Mark, it's Bootsy. I just got back from Woodstock. I was just wanting to see what your schedule's like. It was just too much. I lost my mind. I was like, oh my God." And so, yeah, sure enough, I actually went over to Bootsy's house, his log cabin. He lived in a log cabin at the time, not too far from here, about 15 minutes away. And his studio was in the basement of his house. And when you walk into the studio, the first two things you see is a giant inflatable Godzilla. Because they call him Bootzilla, and then above the door it said Bootsy's Rehab. Yeah, and the first thing I played on over there was a Pepsi commercial. It was a French Pepsi commercial. So weird. It was so weird. Yeah, like I never got a copy of it, so I don't have any idea what happened to it or whatever. That's a lot of times how those things work. You
millions of that, and now you're sitting here doing silly Hello Talk shows. And oh no, I'm just kidding.
I know, man. No.
But that's
It was a
great.
great. It was a great experience for me. You know.
Yeah. That sounds like.
No, I haven't seen him in ages. He used to also kind of produce a few bands in town, and I was in a rock band called 17 Days many years ago, and he was somewhat involved with that for a little bit. You know, all the guys in that band, we all worked in that same store, so he knew all of us. You know, so it was, you know, just a kind of a funny thing. But yeah, anyway.
So your band was called 17 Days.
That was the one at that time. Yeah, I mean, I've been in dozens and dozens and dozens of bands. I've lost track of how many bands I've been in, but that was
okay.
That was the one. The one where I have a picture of me with Bootsy. That's from that band. Yeah.
All right. Wow, that's just awesome.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, once I went to see San Francisco. That's more than 12 years ago, and the guy from Jefferson Airplane was in a bar. Paul Cartner, I think, is his name. And he was like, that's the only famous American musician I met personally. So he was drinking water and tequila at the same time at 12 o'clock in the morning. He was like reading the newspaper, and somebody asked him, "Are you Paul Cartner?" And yes, I am. And then he said something like, "I have to go to work." And everybody was like, "Whoa, Jefferson Airplane is doing a new record again." And that was the only time I met a famous musician in the United States. Yes.
That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. In the beginning, I said I don't want to disturb too long.
You weren't disturbing me at all. No, man. Like, I love talking about music. I never get to talk about music, so no, I love talking about music. And a lot of people don't know that I'm, you know, like I said, I still, you know, when I think of who I am, it's very difficult for me to put a label on myself, like he's a teacher, or he's a drummer, or I'm me. And that's what people ask me, what's your job? I'd say my job is being me. I do whatever I can do.
Yeah.
And so I view myself still as a musician as much as I am as a teacher. You know, I'm every bit as serious about playing drums as I am about teaching English or teaching music or doing whatever I do, you know.
Helping people, as you did in the session before. That was a great reaction. That's a compliment. How you reacted, that was very impressive. And I think you're a guy the son should call. And
I hope so. I hope he will. I hope I get a chance to. And it might not lead to anything, but I do know a little bit about that struggle. And you know, it's not the kind of thing that we should be talking about, you know, in public, you know, on a broadcast or something. But that's why I said I hope he'll call me privately or message me privately, and maybe I can at least make a connection with his son, and maybe give him a different viewpoint. You know, a different viewpoint that could benefit him later at some point. You know, you know, it's the whole you can drag a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You know, that's that kind of a thing, you know, and so I can talk to him and maybe one day he'll drag himself to the water, you know. That's the best I can do.
That's all you can do for him, and it was so great how you reacted, and I could see that it's not like talking without meaning it. It was a great reaction, and wow, really.
Well, thank you. It was very unexpected, but that's why when Alvin, when he asked about mental health, I was like, okay, well, let's see what's going on with Alvin. Maybe I can, you know, because I like to talk to people and just, you know, sometimes that's all somebody needs is they just need to feel like they have someone they can talk to, You know, and again, my father is a psychologist, everybody. He's retired now, but for decades, that was his job, was to be a person that people could talk to. And I have personally had depression in my life, and I've personally had to go to, you know, see a therapist and talk to somebody. And I'll tell you what, I wish everybody in this world could have a therapist. I really do. Because when you get a good one, it is the most amazing thing in the world. It truly is, because it's basically just somebody every week you can just go and vent, and you say all the things you're thinking and all the things you're feeling, and they are not invested in you. They're separate. They're outside the box, so they're able to give you wisdom and give you advice and give you a perspective that maybe you didn't think about because you're too involved. You know, and it makes decision-making so much easier when you can have that sense of perspective from somebody who's not connected to it emotionally like you are. So, so I guess what I'm saying is you know, you can't be a teacher without caring about your students and caring about the person who's in front of you, you know. So I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist, but I'm happy that anyone would feel at all comfortable talking to me, you know, that's all. Yeah.
And that's a lot, you know, that's a lot. I sometimes I'm doing that host thing on Hello Talk too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And sometimes,
oh man, I'm gonna have to join you. I want to join yours.
In German, by the way.
Okay, all right. Well, my German is really terrible. I studied German for 3 years in high school, and I've forgotten almost all of it. Yeah, but see, this is why I talk so much about how important it is to learn how to think in a language. Because if you can't make that transition to put it in your mind, you'll never be successful. And that's what I tell people is I studied German for 3 years, and they taught me about reading and writing and listening and speaking, but they never, ever mentioned anything about trying to actually think in that language, and that's why I never was able to cross that line. I was never able to get it in my brain. So I can read some German and I can understand it a bit, and I can hear it and I can understand it a bit, but I have no ability to think like that yet. But now that I've taught myself Chinese and I've used this method to do that, I feel confident that I could re-look at any language that I've studied before, because I've studied a few languages, and it would be a completely different game now. Because now I feel like I have an ability, I have an idea of the best way to do it. And it's like I told everybody, you know why they don't tell you about thinking in school when you learn a language? It's because you can't test for it. You know, how do you test to see what someone's thinking? So that's why it's never in any of the books, and they never mention it. But it's such a critical part of understanding the concept of language. Language and thought have a very, very intrinsically vital, important relationship. You know, thoughts can happen without words, but they certainly happen a lot easier with them. You know,
that's a good.
It's kind
that's
of
a
like
good one.
It's kind of like music. You know, I can make music without knowing anything about scales, but it makes it a whole lot easier to make music and talk about music if you know about scales and chords and music theory. Oh, look at
good
you!
Old pentatonic.
And you've got a telly. Oh man, I love a good telly. Maurice, man, I'll tell you what, you know, I'm planning on coming to Europe as soon as I can to visit some of my friends there. You're on my list now. we gotta play. I'm gonna come to Germany.
Well, the drums are always the problem because they're so loud and you need a room for that. I have to admit I don't have the chance to play with you, but to have you as a guest, that would be possible.
We'll find a way. We'll find a way. We'll go to a music store. Hopefully. We'll rent a room, and we'll find a way. There's always a way. Or believe it or not, I'm a fantastic couch drummer. I can make a couch sound really good. So, that's the great thing about being a drummer is when you're a drummer, your instrument is you. You know,
the earliest drummers had to pick up whatever they
could. That's what they used to call the drum set. Used to be called the trap set, and the word trap was short for contraption. Because it was just a bunch of things that they put together. So when you look at the earliest drum sets, they grabbed anything they could find and just put it in front of them to bang on it, you know? So, so being a drummer means that you make music out of whatever is in front of you. You know, if you have drums, that's great, but I don't need them.
Maybe I will organize a cajon. Do you know that one?
I love cajon, sure.
Cajon?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I used to have a really awesome cajon that was made from a company in Finland, but I had to leave it. I had to leave it in Taiwan when I left Taiwan. But no, we'll find a way. Don't worry, we'll find a way. Yeah, drums are loud, but
All right.
that's not a problem. We'll figure it out. We'll go to a club or something, and I'll tell you what, Moritz, that has always been my ultimate dream for what I do here. Is I had a vision more than 10 years ago, before streaming even, that I wanted to do a travel show on TV or on YouTube or whatever. And I wanted a travel show that was different than a lot of the travel shows that are out there. Because the travel shows that are out there, if they're about food, it's almost always like this high, expensive, fine dining thing that most people will never be able to afford or experience, and it's almost pointless to watch. You know, it's like torture when you watch people go eat at Michelin restaurants. You know, like, yeah, I can't afford that, man. I'm never going to be able to go there, you know? So I'm a musician, I'm also a cook, and I love language. So what I wanted to do was to travel around the world and meet my Hello Talk friends, real people, not famous people, real people, you know? And I wanted to go have real food, you know, cook with somebody from that area together, you know, and go try the street foods locally and at a real restaurant and make music, you know, find some local musicians where you live. And I don't care what country you're from or what kind of music it is. I don't care. I like music, just music. You know, it's all the same to me. It's like Duke Ellington said, there's only two kinds of music, good music and bad music. So, you know, that has always been my dream. If I could win the lottery, that's what I would do, is I would turn this into a show where I would go meet all of you in every country and every corner of the world and make a show about real people connecting through language and how language can help us understand each other better, because that was always my dream, was to get people to understand. I think it's a mistake that lots of people, they think of language as something you should only do if you're going to become fluent. And sure, becoming fluent is great, but honestly, if everybody in the world could just learn 10 or 15 words in another person's language, that would be huge. That would be huge.
Yeah, it would be huge. You're
so
right,
that's what I wanted to do every show is teach the audience 10 words in any language, you know, like Guten Tag, wie geht's, danke, you know, like bitte schön, you know, little things like that, simple things, right? You know, so I know Chinese and I know English, but I also know a little bit about maybe 15 other languages, just enough to make someone smile. And that's all I want to do, you know? So, anyway, that's been my vision. That's been my dream. If I could win the lottery, that's what I would be doing right now. I would be traveling around, doing a show where I meet real people and connect between language, food, and music, but not at Michelin star restaurants.
All right.
Yeah.
That's the plan, Mark.
Definitely Moritz, for real. One of my favorite followers here is another guy in Germany, and Gunter, and he's been on my list. I want to go meet him. And by the way, everybody, if you're in Europe and you want me to come see you, please talk to me, because Europe is the first place I want to visit. I want to try to. I've never been to Europe, and it's always been a dream of mine. And so I'm trying to figure out who I can go visit. Who can I go meet, So,
listen, Mark, I have to say goodbye. I've reached the daily limit.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, no worries, Moritz.
Thanks for being here. And if you come to Germany, you're welcome.
Thank you, my friend. It was great to talk to you. And don't forget, you can go to my YouTube and follow me there. It's no time limit. All right? All right, my friend. All right, thanks, Moritz. It was great to talk to you. Wow, what a day. What a day so far. I know I've only talked to 2 people so far, but wow. This has been... So far, this show is very representative of exactly what I wanted to do. Between talking to Alvin and talking to Moritz. Wow. What a day. Wow. All right. Well, what time is it here? I got to make sure I don't miss my time limit here. Okay, we're doing okay. All right. Maxie's German, and the German accent and the Russian accent, there's a little similarity in there. Anybody in Eastern Europe, there's a Slavic kind of a thing there, right? Okay, let's see if we can talk to a couple other people here today. Let's go with Zizo in Egypt. Zizo, are you there? Hello.
Hello,
Hello,
Mr.
Zizo.
Mark. How are you doing?
I'm good. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Alaikum assalam. I hope you're doing great.
It's pretty good so far today. It's pretty interesting so far today. Yeah.
What do you drink, Mr. Mark?
Coffee. Iced coffee.
Yeah. Ice coffee. Yeah, so great.
So are you in Cairo, or where are you? Giza, Alexandria?
Yes, I told you before, I live in Giza.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember you. I remember. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So what can I do for you today?
Yeah, actually, I don't have any specific question to talk about it, but I'm going to see something. Over tomorrow, I'm going to have interview in a job. I applied for a job, and they said to me, come Wednesday to make your interview. Mm-hmm. And actually, I don't know how it's going. I hope to be accepted.
What kind of a job is it?
Yeah, call center, like I told you before.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, then remember what I told you before, which is just you have to relax and be confident. If you're relaxed and confident, you have a 50% better chance of getting that job. Okay.
Yes,
so,
I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to be confident as much as I can. I'm trying to be calm, and I'll do that. And I hope to be accepted. Yeah, it's okay. We know I'm graduated since about 3 days. So
is it online or in person?
What?
Is it an online interview or in person?
Face to face.
Face to face. Okay. So, I will tell you guys this. I don't know. This is not true for every culture in the world. But in America, if you have a face-to-face meeting, one of the most important things you can do is smile and give a good handshake. Okay? So this is not true for everywhere, because not everywhere in the world has a handshake culture, but America is a very, very important handshake culture region. And your handshake in America should be firm but not too strong, and confident. It should feel friendly and confident. You know, if you put your hand in there and it's like very weak like this, we think that's weird, and it makes you feel like that's strange. So give a good solid handshake. Just, you know, grab it and be firm, and then let go. You know, that shows confidence. Like, you're here, you know what you're doing, and you're proud of who you are. That's what it says. A good handshake says that you're a confident person.
Yeah, actually, yeah, we know confidence is very important in many fields. Actually, if you feel confident, actually you're gonna create, you're gonna do whatever you want in your job. You're gonna develop from your career if you have a confidence.
That's right.
So we know confidence. Yeah, confidence is so important, and actually, maybe. We're gonna see people around you give confidence to you, and also we're gonna see lots of people, they are trying to holding you back to achieve your dreams or something like this. So in our life, we're gonna see both people.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. You know, in some ways, you know, I often say here that language is a performance. Language is a performance, and if you don't have confidence and you're not comfortable, you can't perform well. And if language is a performance, then that means that nearly every job in the world, there's a part of that job that's performance, that you have to show that you're a confident person, you know, and we do that with our language, body language, and you know, oral language, speaking, right? So remember that. Whatever job you have, I don't care what job you have, language is part of that job. And if you want people to believe that you're good at that, then you need to show that you have confidence in your language, your body language, and in your speaking.
Yeah, and by the way, I'd like to ask you a question. What is the difference between English and business English? I mean, maybe I can talk general English well, but not okay. But when maybe in business or something like this, there are some words related to this position.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Business English and common English, they are not the same. Let me explain what I think is different. So, for example, business English should always be formal, or I should say at least more formal, okay? Which means, for example, as a teacher, when I turn on the camera and I turn on the microphone, I have to be a teacher, you know? So, when I was talking to Moritz and I, we were very friendly with each other. So it felt more like friendship, not lessons. His English is excellent. I don't feel like I needed to teach him anything. He wanted to talk to me as a friend. So my language was different. I spoke to him more quickly. I used more common language. We spoke about pop culture things that I wouldn't talk about when I'm normally teaching, right? But so when you speak business English, there are two things that change. One is the formality of your language. Professionalism. You have to speak like a professional, right? So you can't be like, "Hey, dude, what's up?" You know, like that's not professional. That's okay when you're around your friends, but if you want a job, no, come on now. Right? And then the other thing that's important, it depends on what kind of job you're getting, but every industry has its own vocabulary, right? So if you're doing an IT kind of a job with computers, there's a lot of terminology there. You know, if you're doing a job in sales, there's a lot of terminology there. If you're in finance, there's a lot of terminology there. So the two most important things that differentiate between business English and regular common English is one, business English should be elevated English. You should try to maintain a level of professionalism in your English. And two, you need to be familiar with the vocabulary that goes with that job, you know? So those are the two most important things that are different between business English and common English.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. Yeah. And actually, there are some related words also. Maybe if you work in sales, you're gonna say, yeah, you're gonna
Right, there's a
use lots
vocabulary.
of.
There's a lot of vocabulary that goes with being a salesperson, you know? And when you're in finance, there's a lot of vocabulary in the finance world. And when you're in engineering, there's a lot of vocabulary for engineers. So yeah, that's right. Every job has its own lexicon. Lexicon meaning the words that are that you use, or the words that you know. I should actually, lexicon is probably too big. I should say just terminology. Terminology means the terms that are familiar from that industry or from that area. That's your terminology.
Okay, so formality and terminology. Those are the two most important parts.
Of the difference between business English and common English. Okay?
Yeah, common English, and then we start at the first. We start by learning common English, and then we can start by learning business English for our career. Like if you work in accounting, engineering, you're gonna learn business English.
Yeah, although actually, I think there's a third area there. So I try to teach what I call formal English, which means that I don't teach a lot of slang. I don't teach a lot of colloquialisms or regional, ways of speaking. So, for example, the area that I live in the United States, sometimes we say howdy, which means how do you do? But it's a common way to speak, and it's informal. Or we'll say, what's up, y'all? Y apostrophe A-L-L means you all. What, everyone. That's what it means. But I wouldn't use that in formal situations, right? So I think that there's common English, there's proper English, and there's business English. Okay? And so formal English means speaking like an adult. It means speaking like an adult and trying to be respectful in your language, from the start.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I think that it's better to learn formal English first and then learn common English second. So I always tell people it's better to learn the proper way to speak before you learn the improper way to speak.
Yeah. Sometimes we need to learn improper speak to communicate with children.
Well, yeah, sure, right, yeah. When I speak to kids, I speak a little bit differently. Not all of them, but some of them, sure. Definitely. It depends on who you're talking to. That's called code switching. CODE. Switching, code switching. It's a psychology term that means that our language changes depending on who we're speaking to. So when you go see your grandparents, you speak one way. When you're talking with your friends at the bar, you speak another way. When you're talking with your boss at work, you speak another way. Your language and your body language and the way you act changes depending on who your audience is. That's called code switching, C-O-D-E, code switching. It's a common psychological effect that everybody does. Everyone does it. It doesn't matter who you are. There are, if you're at work and you're talking with your boss, you speak one way. And then when you go home later and you hang out with your best friend, you speak another way. You don't speak the same way. It's code switching.
Yeah, actually, I see it's important to adapt by talking with someone. I mean, is he from religion? Try to talk as he from this place. And also, if you talk to someone from another place, try to talk with the same way.
Well, we do have a phrase for that. There's an idiom for that. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. So that means that if you're in Rome, you should act like, follow the Roman customs. You shouldn't try to make them follow your customs. But on the other hand, I think that sometimes this can make people act. What's the right way to say it? Not dishonestly, but less than completely honest is maybe a better way to put it, because sometimes you're presenting yourself to people in a way that's not really you. Like when people sell things, right? I can't do sales. I can't be a salesman, because to be a salesman, to be successful, you have to be willing to sell people stuff they don't need. So many years ago, I worked at a music store, and there was, I sold drums a lot, right? And sometimes a family would come in to buy some drums, and they would go to my boss, and my boss would sell them the drums that, like the most expensive ones that he could sell, the most expensive ones that he could make money from. But when they would come in to buy drums from me, I would look in the computer and try to figure out what's the best deal I could give these people. I wasn't concerned about me making money. I was concerned about them getting the best deal that they could get for their kid or for them, So, like I said, I don't think that that's always completely honest. It depends on who you are and what you're doing. But, yeah. So, now Tupac was saying that that's why people don't understand English, because they hope to hear English like the books, and it's not like that. Well, Tupac, I agree, but I also disagree. It depends on who you're talking to, again, and it depends on what you're listening to also. What I will tell you, Tupac, is that a lot of people watch American TV and movies, and they don't understand the English. And they think, why don't I understand? I don't understand the English. That's because TV and movies are not designed to teach you anything. They're just entertainment, right? But you're looking at them, watching them, and you're trying to learn. The problem is not with that. It's that you're trying to learn from something that's not a learning tool, right? It's not that you can't learn from them. You can, but you have to remember what I'm saying, and you have to understand that if you want to learn from this thing, you have to make it into a learning tool for you, because as it's by itself, it's not a learning tool, okay? And then you were asking about Ebonics. Do I speak Ebonics? No, I don't speak Ebonics because, well, I'm white, number one. And what do I think about Ebonics? I think Ebonics is completely fine. It's a way. It's a way that some people speak to each other. If you're from that community, if you grew up in that culture, then it's just like any other accent or way of speaking. But I do think that, again, code switching matters. So just like I change my language depending on
who I'm talking to, I don't think you should speak that way everywhere you go,
because it's not always appropriate. Okay? Or it's not always going to help you or benefit you, or it's not going to be the best way to communicate with everyone. So I think that way of speaking is completely fine, but I think you need to know when you should and when you shouldn't, and you need to be able to turn it on and turn it off, which means you need to know the other way of speaking, right? So that's what I think. Now, and again, Tupac, people don't understand English. If you don't understand English when you're listening to English, part of the problem is that maybe you're not listening to the right people. I'm betting that you understand me just fine, Tupac. I'm betting you understand me fine. So that means you can understand English, but you have to listen to the right people. Right? So, remember that when you're trying to learn, you need good models to learn from. Okay? Don't just learn from anyone. Don't just learn from anything. You need good models. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah. If you have a visa to travel around the world, which place you're gonna travel and why?
Oh, that's a good. I really want to go almost everywhere. I mean, I say almost.
You can.
I say almost only
You
because.
Yeah, I know that. I know that, but you cannot choose one place.
Oh, I can only choose one? Wow.
I know it's gonna be a hard question.
Yeah, it is.
But I really excited to know.
Well, I can't choose one, but I will choose two. I'll choose two. I'll say that I would like to go to Ireland and I would like to go to Slovakia, and that's because that's where my heritage is from. Right. So my father's family comes originally from there. Right. My great grandfather was born in Slovakia, and my mother's family comes from Ireland. And I've never been to either of those places. So I would like to go there just because I would like to try to learn more about where my culture originally comes from. You know, I have family who lives in Slovakia, and I've never met them before. And they live in a tiny little village. It's like 700 or 800 people in this tiny little village out in the country. I'd like to see that. You know, I would like to see that. I would like to experience that culture. So, like I said, I would like to go everywhere, man. I want to see the world. I want to see this blue diamond, you know, this blue marble that I live on. You know, I want to see. The only places that I say I don't want to go are only places where I feel like I can't be me. If there's a place that they have such rules that maybe I have to worry about being myself, I don't know if I want to go there. You know, but if I can be myself, then I would go just about anywhere. You know, so okay, you know, I don't think I want to go to North Korea. Just because I think I can't be me there. I'd have to be very careful about everything I say, everything I do. You know, no offense to that region. I'm not trying to offend the people of that place, but if I have to worry about things like that, then that doesn't seem like a place I really want to go to. But everywhere else, yeah, I love this world. I love culture. I want to try it all. Yeah, of course, Egypt. Yeah, I wanted to go to Egypt since I was a boy.
Yeah, actually, lots of American comes to Egypt.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You know, I studied about the pyramids when I was a little boy, and you know, Americans have had a long fascination with Egyptian history. You know, when we started learning about the pyramids and the Sphinx and the you know, the various rulers, Tutankhamun and you know, Cleopatra and all this. It's such a fascinating history. But I also want to learn about modern Egypt, not just ancient Egypt. You know.
Yeah, I see Egypt. It's a good place to be if you like being outside. You're welcome every time.
I would love to. To. Yeah. One day, I hope, if I can win the lottery.
Yeah, I'm gonna meet you.
I hope so.
Gonna meet you.
I hope so. I really do. There are a bunch of people in Egypt I want to meet.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're gonna try some Egyptian national dish like koshari. If you search about koshari, you're gonna see it's very delicious.
I know. I've heard about it. I haven't tried it, but I'd love to. I try all kinds of foods. I'm not afraid to try food. It's
Yeah,
almost
it's very
always delicious.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure.
believe.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, Zitzo, it was really great to talk to you again, and good luck on your interview. Just be the person you are, because I think that you're a good person. So just walk in there and be the person you are, and you'll be okay. And I will say this though: if you don't get this job, you'll get the next one. You always have to think about it that way, right? Because some of the greatest success stories in life started with lots of failures.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna go to this interview because, if I accepted, it's okay. If not accepted, I'm gonna take experience
That's
from
right.
this interview.
That's exactly right.
And and discover the interview, the way that you interview. Actually, I'm trying to do that.
Good. Well, then I wish you luck, my friend.
Yeah, nice talking with you and meeting you. It was a great day today. I'm very lucky today.
Yeah, it's been a good day. It's been a good day. So thank you very much for coming, and I'll see you next time, okay? Good luck on your interview. I hope it goes well.
Thank you.
Take care, my
Nice talking
friend.
with you.
I'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
So let me say hi to a few people because I'm so busy talking. Miguel, if you're still here, hello, Miguel. Always good to see you. Thank you so much. I hope we can talk again soon. We haven't talked in a long time. Hello, Sinjul. Hello, my Russian friend in my YouTube channel who I still can't read. I need to learn how to read Cyrillic. One of these days I'll learn that. Hello, Ahmad. You have a question? What's my opinion about the world of digital currencies? Ahmad,
I'm not the guy to talk to about that. I think digital currency is all a big scam.
I think that all the digital currencies are going to fail at some point in time. It's pretend money. Money is already pretend, right? So when you have money, it's paper and metal, and it really has no value. It only has the value that you give to it, right? That's all currency is. Currency and money is just imagined value. That's all it is, right? But digital currency is even more imagined value because there's no actual thing tangibly to hold on to. So it's make-believe money, So it's really not that different than if I say, this is my new kind of money. It's worth $10 million here. Money is all just what you imagine it to be, but digital currency, it's like the ultimate in make-believe. I believe it's real. So I don't have any, and I'm not really interested in getting into it. Maybe that's a mistake, but I think it's probably all going to go pretty poorly in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Many of them already have gone under, so yeah. Okay. My YouTube channel, everybody. If you go to my link tree, you can find all my links. So here is my link tree. Go to my link tree, you can find my website. Go to my link tree, you can find my YouTube. Go to my link tree, you can find my Hello Talk and my Facebook and my Buy Me a Coffee if you want to buy me a coffee. So go to my link tree, go to my link tree, go to my link tree. Right there. Okay? Okay. Hello, Sonia. Namaste. Hello, Farah. Okay. I think I have time to talk with at least one more person. DT770s. Yeah. That's right. It's dark here, huh? Samala? Wait, Sama ni sure. 我听得懂，你觉得在中国这是晚上，对啊，可是我就在美国，现在是1:49。Hello, Rome from the UK. Hello, Liu Jiankang. Bottle of water. All right. What do you do when everything you do, your family is always there to criticize you? Well, that's what families are for. That's what families are for, aren't they? Aren't they? Families are there to criticize you in an unfair way. Elizabeth, your family knows you too closely. And they know you because they've grown up with you. And because they've grown up with you, they can't really see you clearly as the person you are now. They see you as the person you've always been. So that means that in many ways they still see you as a child, right? Unless you're very careful about developing your relationship from a child relationship to an adult relationship, then your family, when they see you, you will always have that same feeling with your relationship. You'll feel like they don't really believe in you because, for whatever reason, they're too connected, they're too close to you. So they can't see you as the person that you see yourself as. So, what can you do about that? You can remember that. You can remember that they just don't see you the way that other people see you. Okay? That's it. Let's see. My parents are not European. No, Ephraim. My grandparents were born in Europe. So my grandparents are from Ireland and Slovakia, but my father and my mother were born here. "你要我说中文，为什么？我不会说中文。说中文这是太难的，好难。我是小丑。好 ，OK， 我是英文老师，现在我教他们英文。所以我觉得你也可以。Okay, hello, Majid. All right, what time is it? Let me see. 1:53. Okay, I think I have time. Let me check something here. Yep, that's tomorrow. Okay. All right. Let me send a message here and make sure that I'm not going to miss my next lesson here. Okay, before I forget, make sure you follow me here. Follow me on Hello Talk.
I have about 69,000 followers here on Hello Talk. And you can also
follow me on my Linktree. Go to my Linktree, and you can find all of my links there. Go here. Go to my Linktree, and you can find my YouTube. Go to my Linktree, you can find my website. Go to my Linktree, you can find my Facebook. Okay? Majid wants to know, on the whole, what's the opinion of people around the world on Iran? Well, I can't speak for the entire world, Majid. I can't speak for the entire world. But, Majid, I've been on Hello Talk for about 10 years. I've been doing live streams for about 3 years. I have hundreds of followers in Iran now. Hundreds. Maybe more than that. I don't even know. And the one thing that I love about doing this is that you get to really see how people really are. So I have lots of Iranian friends now. You know, like, let's put it this way. I wish it were easier for me to just travel to Iran, because if I could, I totally would. I totally would. There are so many people in Iran who follow me here and are really cool and nice, and so I wish I could. So let's remember that what the news says is not a complete picture. What governments say and what the news says is not a complete picture, you know. You know, and there are good people and bad people everywhere. There are good people and bad people everywhere, right? So, I don't really think about people like their nationality. I don't really think about people like their nationality. You're a person on the planet. I'm a person on the planet. Why have I never been to Slovakia? Well, mostly money. My family went to go visit many years ago. I just haven't had a chance because I'm not rich. And if I were, then I would travel everywhere. But it's on my list, and I'm hoping to do that sometime very soon. Okay? All right. Well, one moment. Okay. Unfortunately, the world situation is like this nowadays. Yeah, but you know, Majid, the world situation has always been like this in some way or another, you know? But Majid, just recently on my Facebook, I posted something that I thought was pretty interesting. It was a commercial from Iran, a TV commercial from Iran from the 1970s, I think, or 60s. And it's kind of interesting to see. You know, it's interesting to see the differences between, you know, then and now. It's always interesting to look at history and see the differences in time, you know. So just recently I found this interesting commercial from Iran. It was for a refrigerator. It was a refrigerator commercial from the 1970s. So, all right, I have time to talk with at least one more person. Let's see, who can I talk with today? Let's talk with An in India. An, do you want to come talk with me? Hello, An. Namaste. Are you there?